So,
very good.
cancel games. Going to get in some other flavors of Warcraft.
This is crazy how much stuff there actually was. It's just like, this is why we talk about the graveyard.
We really want to talk about Avalon.
I don't.
Oh, I do. I do.
I don't. Give me skip
I
that.
do. Trust me. Trust me. So, because look, the first thing I ever YouTubed on
That's right. Oh yeah.
was
you're a
Minecraft.
fucking nerd.
It was
Forgot about-
Minecraft. I played Minecraft since alpha. But that's not actually the reason why I want to talk about Avalon. So Avalon is a Warcraft game, but it's Minecraft style. In development, 2013 to 2015. Now, I can immediately see people thinking, oh my god, knockoff never work. I am actually not so sure.
That was Blizzard's MO. Make knockoffs, but good.
I mean, number one, yeah. Number two, Minecraft is, I think, marked by stagnancy, and Microsoft have not done a great job.
Especially in the early days. As far as I remember. It kind of was like there was no... Unless you were super into it, it was just the Minecraft sandbox.
Yeah.
And Blizzard would have been able to take that and go, hey, we've got a sandbox that's a Warcraft Minecraft sandbox, but we can add the Warcraft storytelling flair to it.
And now we talk about the business case.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of helps because some of the early Minecraft YouTube community, I mean, the Yogscast people, they came from the Something Awful forum Warcraft guild. So Yogscast did, I think, Cataclysm raid guides before they did the Minecraft thing, and they were kind of like there when Minecraft blew up. So number one, you'd get them. That's not really the point. The point is, I remember in 2011, I think it was called Minecube something. It was like an RPG. It was basically third-person role-playing game, Minecraft-ish. And I remember that absolutely goddamn exploding. More recently, Hytale. Now, Hytale is it's actually a local endeavor-ish, but a global team, although it's a bit weird. The Hytale... Yeah. So the Hytale trailer, though, I say this because basically Hytale is like fantasy Minecraft, but with more UGC tools.
Theoretically.
It's
not anything till it's actually out.
Yes. I will say no more about Hytale just by virtue of being local. I know a few more things, but it would be improper to talk. So it's at 60 million views on YouTube. And that was its announcement trailer 5 years ago. Now, I'm sure 10 million of those are just people thinking, oh, where was that? But it was bringing fantasy, role-playing, more UGC tools into the Minecraft-like game space. Warcraft did well because it was big and it was quite archetypical in the way that people liked Star Wars because it was archetypical, although I would argue that there's more room for expanded stuff within Warcraft, probably, just given how some of it was set up. Versus just, it's the good guys and the people with the peace symbol from another culture flipped around. Can't really say their name.
You're right, like
the Austrian painters in space.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I don't know anything about Avalon beyond what we've been sort of told in public here. Though I would just say Hytale was promising enough that Riot acquired the studio. And yes, it's not out yet.
That was when Riot,
I will say nothing more.
That was when Riot was printing unbelievable amounts of money and were willing to buy anything.
Yep.
That was the big bubble period, but yeah.
What did it represent? They want to take on Minecraft.
Yeah, of course.
Blizzard
the big thing.
Was traditionally able to bring a world-class level of approachability and polish. Had they done that to something in that vein, there could have actually been a bit of success, as shown by some indie-scale projects that blew up way more than people expected, and then the amount of consumer appetite for Hytale. So Avalon's definitely one of those. It's weird. It is weird. I don't know how they'd make it fit the rest of Warcraft. Yeah. Maybe it would be AU or something. But anyway, there's Avalon. But there is more. There's also Project Orbit. This was, I believe, led by...
Tom Chilton?
No, it was led by Beerman. Corey Stockton.
Yeah.
I say Beerman, he would always tweet photos of craft beer, and I'd always be very jealous. So they led that.
Yeah.
It was Pokemon Go in Warcraft. And look, you've seen Harry Potter, Wizards Unite, or The Witcher, Monster Slayer,
Or
every flippin' IP.
the Monster Hunter one as well.
Or the Monster Hunter one.
Which apparently is doing pretty well.
There was a Jurassic Park one. Sorry, Jurassic World. Now that it's modern and ruined. So yeah, that was just a thing that was going on. I know that people at Blizzard flippin' love Pokemon Go, but obviously that went nowhere. There's Odyssey. Odyssey will be really relevant to our discussion,
we'll talk
but
about that a little bit later.
we'll do that later.
A lot more to dig into for that. As like for the rest of these, is kind of just stuff we know very little about, largely speaking. Like Orion, a mobile RPG with asynchronous turns. That sounds cool, but we don't know anything else about it.
That is
like,
so boomer.
It
I love
really
it.
is, yeah.
I love it. That's like play by email chess.
yeah, just it is something. Well, the Facebook chess is doing really well. Can we get that?
So there is a game, and be warned. Be warned. This is going to hurt you.
I'm warned.
It's called The Battle for Polytopia, and it is where everybody fights to get in the final orgy. No, it's like a reduction of the 4X strategy sort of game, like a reduction of Civ. It's really good, and I know that it's got async multiplayer. It's amazing. It's also pre-installed in Teslas, which is a bit weird. But anyway, yeah, that's good. Maybe around with something like that. Hard to say. But where we, where things obviously get interesting for Warcraft is
The Helldivers game.
the Helldivers game.
Definitely, that's the one. What would that possibly look like? Is that just like you unloaded the? Is it like how literally are we talking?
Just context, because not everybody may be up to speed. Helldivers 1 is a top-down twin-stick shooter style game. It's from Arrowhead, who, of course, are known for Helldivers 2 now, but the first thing they did was Magicka. I think that was a university.
Yes, it was.
spin-out
Magicka
project.
was like it won Game of the Year for loads of that year. It was fucking unbelievably good for co-op. So it's good to see they have that continuing. But that would probably have been something like I don't even know how to describe what a Warcraft Helldivers would look like.
Vermintide.
You could easily.
It would be
imagine,
like a sort of a top-down Vermintide sort of deal.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of like the setting and how you build that. Do you have like a load of dwarves and gnomes with guns taking down a load of orcs or something? Set in like the earlier times?
Oh, you'd work in melee and magic, surely.
You'd work that stuff in, and then you can have something that would be fun and a game you could play. Except they never bothered doing it.
Yeah, and speaking of games you can't play, Andromeda.
But you can play Andromeda right now in EA Play.
You sure can.
You can. That's a Mass Effect Andromeda. Not the one we actually want.
So this is a God of War-like Warcraft game. Now, of course, this is God of War as in modern God of War.
Yes.
And thinking about it, so much stuff makes sense. So God of War is a sort of a rebrand of that franchise. Or not rebrand, but, reimagining, reboot. And, casting Kratos as a father.
Sad dad game.
Yeah, sad dad game. Sad dad games, good. Mm-hmm. You have The Last of Us. You have Logan. You could have had...
Well, Logan's not a game, but yeah.
True. But the whole sad dad and son/daughter game that was pretty big for a while.
The genre was massive.
I remember saying something along those lines, but I referenced Plague Tale: Innocence, and I haven't played the game, and I think Connor just said to me, "Oh no, it's not like that." So I wonder if something horrible happens. Anyway,
very good.
God of War, Warcraft, Thrall as our main character. So Thrall is our Kratos.
Thrall as a sad dad, yeah.
Thrall as a sad dad, which makes a lot of sense. If you think about when this was being developed, which we know that, it died because Alex Afrasiabi or Afrasiabi? I don't know. Either way.
I think it's Afrasiabi. It's said Afrasiabi, but it's Siabi, which is a typo I catch on every publication out of our site.
Sweet. It's a really fun name to say. But he got the boot, and we'll talk about why soon. But he got the boot, and with him getting the boot, game died. Now, this for Thrall makes complete sense. And to be honest, it would have made more sense if Metzen was more deeply involved as opposed to just being a voice actor or something. It's kind of hard to know exactly, but we know that Chris Metzen is involved in basically everything. He's quite involved in Overwatch.
Much to his detriment.
He gets burned out. And I think for him it was the suddenly flushed with money and executive and his real life stuff, just stress. So he burns out, he leaves. The last thing he works on at Blizzard reportedly is the Battle for Azeroth cinematic, which was the part of Battle for Azeroth that felt the most like the Warcraft franchise. And rather distinctly, the rest of Battle for Azeroth didn't. Now, some of the problem there is that the rest of Battle for Azeroth was under the creative direction of Alex Afrasiabi. I will just stick with that. They were under Alex. I was under Alex's direction. Now, Alex is gone from the company earlier than people know, and there's a whole history. So there's always a temptation to sort of psychoanalyze people, which is wrong. Not going to do that. The point, though, is that whatever's going on, he's sort of increasingly relying on the alcohol. We've been led to believe, to the point where it's causing professional problems. In addition to that, very inappropriate sort of harassment behavior, right? But the bit where it really is challenging is that because he's been there a long time, played a major role in World of Warcraft and loads of stuff there. And I think where normally someone would just be thrown out the door. The story is J. Allen Brack, who, of course, he ended up replacing Mike Morhaime as president. Before that, he was the lead producer on World of Warcraft. Yeah. And we're led to believe anyway that Brack sort of gives him the verbal, the formal talk. And I think we've been led to believe that did not stick. And I think that by the time it got to that with J. Allen Brack, he sort of should have been long gone by then. There's lots of stories. And a part of what makes J. Allen Brack sort of untenable as president is when it comes out that he sort of handled that, because it's that sort of thing, this wasn't a first offense and everybody knew it. So it's in that context that it sort of makes his leadership untenable. He leaves, and that's, of course, when we get to Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra joining as the presidents of Blizzard. Not that Jen lasted long, because she quite rapidly left. Under, I'd say, rather dramatic circumstances, and I really, really hope Jason's book gets into that. I didn't even think about that.
I imagine it will get into a lot of the Ibarra stuff because he's got so much in Activision. Yeah.
If you don't know Jen O'Neill, by the way, she was studio head of Vicarious Visions. They did things like, Diablo 2 Resurrected, Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remaster 1 and 2, loads of other things. She started her way at the very bottom as a games tester and worked her way up to being studio head. That's a sort of career path that existed back in the day. From everything I understand, does not exist now.
No, now you only get studio head if you get installed by a CEO who knows you through money friends.
There you go.
That's the only way it happens nowadays.
What that means is you need to start applying AI to increase your LinkedIn presence.
Basically.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
Andromeda is going to be a game like that. And I think whenever Metzen is putting himself into his work, it leads to both really good things.
Yeah.
If a bit cheesy, but really good in the way that Blizzard can be really good. But then maybe also some blind spots. I think some of those blind spots manifested in StarCraft 2, even though I would say some of StarCraft 2's high points also come from the same place as the blind spots, because that's just what it's like when people are sort of fully putting themselves into their work. Now, if that then is led by Afrasiabi, I said I'd stick with Afrasiabi. If it's led by him, I have no trust. Narratively.
Yeah, especially at that point in time.
Yeah, so Sylvanas. The whole quote with Burning Teldrassil is that it is quite literally a trust me bro sort of thing. Mm-hmm. He led that with Sylvanas. And I remember a really infamous interview about the Wrathgate, where the story was that Sylvanas did not do Wrathgate.
Yeah, that was the point.
That was the point.
It was Putris.
And yeah.
And Dreadlord. Was it Techondrus?
I think so.
Yes.
So he sort of cast doubt on that in an interview. I forget who it was with. The whole flipping community side-eyed that, and we just kind of have weird lore inconsistencies. He's being more abrasive, and then, it was 2018, or whatever it was that all of the news sort of... Oh my God, that was a while ago.
6 years ago.
When was it that everything broke with Blizzard?
I don't remember.
The DEFH case. I forget. But anyway, whenever all that broke,
Of our Mathis threads.
whenever all that broke, Alex was seen as a problem to the point where like he was sort of publicly named in the case. And by that point, he was gone. I believe he left shortly after the Darkshore patch. The Darkshore patch that, of course, had to have its lore salvaged on the PTR because people went and played the PTR and thought, what the fuck's happening here?
Yeah, and then his cannon never got fired.
Oh, yeah, he's also, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's the guy who said that the Big Goblin cannon would be fired during BFA. And there's also, I know there's an interview. Someone asks about, like, clothing options. And I get the BlizzCon Q&A, and he gives this, like, really, really disrespectful, chauvinistic answer that's a bit... I think other Blizzard people who were on that panel sort of went on to express that was not...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were not doing good there. Maybe it was Metzen. I forget exactly. Anyway, that's sort of the history of the Warcraft games. Yeah, there could have been a big God of War game, but also could have been the end of Thrall as a character. Because you can't trust the guy who's creative directing it.
Given the end of Thrall as a character, as in he would have scuppered the shit out of the story, as opposed to him dying or whatever.
And I know there's a lot of people who sort of default say back to that. You're pinning it all in one guy. You know, this is the whole Warcraft team got it wrong. And there are like deep systemic problems in the Warcraft team, especially at that point, absolutely. But his job title was creative director. So this is the bit that was actually his job.
Yeah, literally, that's your role. You can't really apply responsibility very effectively to groups. You need at least someone who's like job title and obviously their compensation and responsibility is like made up to be that way. Even though it doesn't work that way with a lot of people with high responsibility these days. When you look at the gaming industry, obviously it doesn't exactly track, but the whole point is that specifically this is your responsibility. Everything that happens is supposed to go through you and it's supposed to be good, and it wasn't. So obviously there's a reason that it stumbled a bit and kind of things change around, but then after that period when we have a creative director again, suddenly the creative direction looks to exist now, and you go, good. Nice.
And that's the thing. So the Warcraft team basically limped on from expansion to expansion, not having the clearest direction. If you've ever wondered, like, why is that widget that seems to be like the key to Aberrus? Why did that turn into the Darkheart and end up being the MacGuffin that led an expansion? Well, that's because the creative direction happened. Whenever Metzen joined, I think we've recently learnt, they were 10 months into development and War Within, and he sort of said that his job was not to go in and micromanage people's work, but it was to provide the big, like, okay, here's the actual big direction we're going in. We need to make things fit that direction. Within that direction, we put ourselves into our work. That's sort of how it's sort of communicated, I suppose. So, I mean, yeah, shit, man, that's kind of that situation. There are other shit shows, right? To be clear. I mean, are there any shit shows that we haven't went over? I mean, there's Hades, which is the initial version of Diablo 4 that was a third-person Arkham Combat style action RPG that did have permadeath and stuff.
Yeah,
that died.
They just never got it to where they wanted to, and then went, fuck it, let's just make a Diablo 4 that's Diablo 3, but Diablo 2, and then we'll release it, and then go, no one likes it, fuck.
And then turn it back into Reaper of Souls.
Yeah, and then all roads lead to Reaper of Souls. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Yeah, I do want to kind of just go through the list and see if there's anything super interesting.
Look at this, like, Diablo for Game Boy.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
People remember flipping Lord of the Rings for Game Boy.
Yeah,
that was a Diablo-like action RPG that apparently like slaps oddly hard.
The Game Boy and Game Boy Advance specifically eras were unbelievable for games that were the same thing, but they had to be reimagined, and they were done by a completely different team. Because it was Vicarious Visions, I believe, who actually were responsible for a lot of that. They did a huge amount of GBA versions of games that were completely different. Because you couldn't have console parity. It wasn't the same deal where like you got let's say you get a Switch version of a game and it runs on the cloud or it's just like technically toned down. This was the GBA is, you know, the GBA or the GBA, they are completely different methods of running game. You 2D for a start for the Game Boy. So you're like, well, obviously I can't just have polygons in this shit. Okay. here you go, let's figure this out. And that was like really, really, really fun to see those back in the day. But that's when games took 6 to 8 months to make and cost you a tenner. So, you know, like, not you as consumers, it's a tenner. The developers cost them a tenner.
And then throughout all this, by the way, there's going to be loads of pitches and loads of prototypes that probably aren't even here.
Yeah. Shattered Editions. God knows what that is. Licensed Star Wars game that led to StarCraft. Yeah, of course. Of course.
Bloodlines of a space vampire game.
Cool. Sound. Don't know what that could possibly be.
Fucking Stargate Andromeda.
Perfect.
There you go.
Wonderful. Starblow. I wouldn't call it that if I'm to be honest with you. I'd call it DR.
Yep.
DR.
That is, I believe, what Blizzard North were tasked on before Blizzard North did its version of D3 that then got canned for the Blizzard Irvine D3.
Yes. Man, Blizzard are so wasteful, it's unbelievable. There's Nomad.
Oh, Ghost is also not here.
Yeah, Ghost isn't here.
And the StarCraft Battlefield-like game isn't here either. So there's a
Battlefield like StarCraft FPS down here.
And
So
there
they
is
tried.
there's one other game. There's the person who led Odyssey.
Yes.
I think I know who it is. Jason hasn't said who it is, so I won't say the name because maybe that would be bad. I don't know. Putting together the pieces, I think I know who it is anyway. But that's oh my god, words. There was the Battlefield-like StarCraft game, which died to give Overwatch 2 more resources. I think maybe D4. And now there's a third FPS. There's a shooter game. There's a new shooter game.
Yeah, they're making one now.
In the StarCraft universe. People also find it interesting that this is closely timed with StarCraft being on Game Pass.
Yeah, and it's never going to release. So there you go.
There you go.
Because why would you expect Blizzard to release a game after you look at this list and then see what they have released and then see... Because it feels like, is it War Games, the movie, where it's like the only winning move is not to play? Yeah, that feels like the Blizzard response is the only winning move is to not make any games. Because every time we do, something goes wrong. What should we do? Just continue to make World of Warcraft expansions and not do anything else, because anything else is throwing money into the blender for minimal return and also massive disrespect from everyone.